Right, we're going to get Phil on now because he's pulling faces there about all this. So just for the audio people, we now have Phil Escott.
Hello, boys.
And Richard's muted, but that's the best way to have
Hello,
Richard.
Phil.
Keep me muted. How are we doing, Phil?
I'm doing great, thank you. Yeah, I've been listening to the live stream for a while, and just well done, guys. Just great stuff. Yeah, again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, thanks for
What
coming
about
on.
Jonathan, eh? Was he a good guest?
I was very naughty.
Right.
I had to hold back twice today, guys, from people in the comment section. I promised. I think I promised Richard's. I think partner that I'd be polite to people. So you've been spotted, guys. If you're in the comment section making rude comments and showing these guys disrespect, I'll say no more and I'll leave it there and just try and keep it on a good note. But thank you very much for having me on, and it's nice to see you, Phil. Richard, thank you very much. Your thing's coming through the post soon, and Stephen, I'll see you soon. All right, take care, guys.
Cheers, man.
Thanks,
Take
John.
care.
Bye.
See you soon.
Adios. So, Phil Escott, for those people that don't know you, give us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm honoured, first of all, to be part of the UK GB Carnivore thing that we do every Tuesday with the boys here. And I guess I'm best known for the autoimmunity stuff, particularly arthritis and, rheumatoid and psoriatic and whatever. I wrote a book called Arthritis, the Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me about 10 years ago now. I can't believe it's 10 years ago, about my journey. And I hadn't actually found carnivore at that time. I was sort of, pretty meat heavy with a few healthy veg. That it wasn't until 2015 or so that I discovered carnivore, and I've been carnivore since then. And I help people out on consults with autoimmunity and whatever. And I was running the Big Fat Challenge with Ben. Actually, we still got that up, but we just don't do the calls. I do them via my Substack and whatever now. Just loads of interviews and this and that. I'm amazed that I get asked onto podcasts and stuff, and it's a load of fun to have got to know all the people in this space, because it's a great one to be in. Everybody seems to be extremely sane. You get into other sort of militant dietary cults, and they seem to be a bit barking mad and arguing, but everybody's so chilled in the carnivore space. It's cool. So that's me, really. Yeah.
And a very nice bloke and a good sense of humour and a drummer. There's a lot more going on, and you've also got this ancestral health thing in August. You're keeping your light under the bushel, aren't you, there?
Yes, thank you. No, that's why I put the Linktree thing up under my name this time, because there's, there's so many things going on, and Ben told me we're down to one room left on our Spanish conference in Spain in October with Anthony's going to be there, Anthony Chafee, and Natasha Campbell-McBride, Sophia Clements. Ben's going to be speaking there. I'll speak there. And Heather as well. She's great. She's been Ben's missus at the moment, and she's absolutely brilliant on all that sort of neurological stuff and, sort of head trauma and all great stuff. Honestly, she needs to come out a bit more and speak more. She's brilliant. But yeah, one room in Spain left, but loads of places for our August Ancestral Health Festival with these two chaps speaking. And we've got Nikita Stark on natural birth. She's brilliant. And who else have we got? We've got Dr. Sarah Pugh, of course, who is just a proper genius on all the quantum stuff and become a good friend. She's hilarious. And Darren Nesbitt, and we'll even be playing with the Daz Band. So, yeah, there'll be some music and butchery demonstrations and lots of good organic food to cook over fire pits. And, all kinds of stuff going on. Natural movement stuff. Have a look at the link. It's in my link tree. You'll find it. But, looking forward to that one.
Anything you want to say, Rich?
No, super exciting stuff. I was just about to say, Phil, do you want to post that into the comments, or do you want me to find it and post it?
Yeah, I can post that into the comments. I can do that. Can I?
Right.
Oh, I see. I'm just nowhere near the bottom. Oh, join this. You see all this
Right.
nonsense.
Right. Well, we got questions now. I just want to reiterate or iterate, use the word properly, because I haven't said this before, or maybe I have. That we are trying to do all your questions, but there are hundreds, literally hundreds. I am trying to keep up. I absolutely promise. Right. Okay. So Susan is saying carnivore, 1.5 years, best online diet, gaining weight. There is some stress and emotional eating, larger portions and other foods. What can I do? Fast? Waiting until there is less stress? Thanks. What do you reckon, Phil?
Yeah, it's a common one that we found in the Big Fat Challenge. You know, emotional eating is huge. It can be it's although larger portions, no other foods. That's cool. That's not so bad. You know, if you're just getting the meat in, but it can be so connected to childhood, the rewards that we were given by our parents. You know, we connect chocolate with love and stuff like that. It's a crazy one. I mean, if you're gaining weight, then again, it depends what kind of weight. I guess that if you're gaining fat, that you probably are, you know, with 1.5 years on the Lion diet, you probably all the, you know, the muscle and bone density has come up already. So I guess it's complaining about fat. But I don't know. There's several ways around this, aren't there? Because as I always say, that women are a lot sort of more complicated hormonally than men, and so they get a more of a difficult time with the weight gain. But it could be worth, I would say, it could be worth trying a leptin reset. You know, Jack Cruse's old method of taking in 50 grams of protein and a bunch of fat if you can within half an hour of waking up. I don't think it's a good plan long term, because I think we should eat when we're hungry and stop when we're full, simple as that. But I've seen it quite often when women have a weight gain sort of blip, or they have a plateau in weight loss, in fat loss, that a leptin reset can do a lot, because it is sort of pretty much a master hormone that controls a load of the rest of them. So if you are still a bit leptin resistant, maybe that could help. I don't know. What do you think, guys?
There's me muted again. Yeah, it is a common one. I know, as you say, we do gain more muscle when we eat more muscle meat. Bone density also increases. Bone is mineralized protein. It's made from protein and minerals. So living the lifestyle, we're going to, we can gain weight. What tends to happen with most people is that we lose a lot of weight. We get right to the bottom, and then we sort of bounce back, if you like, and we gain a couple of pounds, and that's perfectly normal. But there's a lot of context that's missing here, isn't it? I mean, is it a case of eating too much? If I want to gain weight, I'll eat, excessive amounts of fat. Increase in protein never seems to lead to extra weight gain if it's leaner. It is the fat that leads to that weight gain if we eat it in excess. But also the opposite is true. If we are not consuming enough fat, this can also lead to weight gain. So it's a fine balance, and it depends on where you are currently. Lots of other contributing issues. Coffee can lead to weight gain, even though it's a fat mobilizer. Excessive amounts will lead to an increase in cortisol, which can lead to weight gain. Excessive amounts of training, if you are hitting the gym and working out beyond an hour, this will also increase cortisol and lead to weight gain. If you are excessively fasting, believe it or not, that can also lead to an increase in cortisol. So it seems to be two opposite ends of the same argument. So it could be eating too much or not eating enough. Or maybe not even eating, the right types of food. But again, without extra context, it is difficult. So, I mean, depending on where you are on your journey there, Susan, I mean, take on board the advice and try to do the opposite to whichever you are currently. But we need fuel. So under eating seems to be a big, especially with women. Women tend not to do very well on OMAD and excessive fasting. I find personally, and you guys may have something to add to this, but women seem to do better on 2 to 3 meals a day Men seem to thrive better on 1 to 2. And that's not to say that you can't eat one meal a day, but it's finding that sweet spot and it's finding what works best for you.
Brilliant answer. Yes. Well done, guys. So someone here is commenting, carnivore for future. Obesity is an outcome of a nutritional deficiency, creating hunger, and you eat same equal more deficiency, more hunger. Former 637 pounds, today 245 pounds, 5-year carnivore. And this is one of the weirdest things. I am an obesity and diabetes specialist practitioner, and in the obese, I would often say, you are malnourished, and they'd never understand. And I say, you're eating and eating because you're eating the wrong things, and your body is saying, you need to eat more because we need more protein, we need more fats, and you're stuffing cereal down your neck, and you're doing all these things, and you're not satisfying your body's need for protein and fats. So therefore, you are obese, but malnourished. And, that's basically what that comment is saying. So I do appreciate that. That's fabulous. And that's it.
Well done. Well done. Absolutely brilliant result there.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's brilliant, isn't it? It's absolutely brilliant. Right. We'll go to the next question then. Oh, by the way, people have commented, it's very UK-centric. That's because it's a 24-hour live stream, and it's the morning here. It's 10 past 10 in the morning. It's midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning elsewhere. So, right. Okay, Maisie, Scotland. You're in Scotland at 8. Seriously difficult to sleep on carnivore, 4 hours at most, enjoying the other benefits, but I'm constantly tired. Carnivore, almost 4 years.
Yeah, the sleep thing. Well, I think, quite often when people go on carnivore or keto, they tend to sleep less. I think maybe the repair gets done quicker. That might be a reason for it, and you don't need so much sleep. But 4 hours, could do with boosting that up a bit, I guess. For me, the first thing I always look at is light, people's light exposure. Even people who come along and say, "Oh, I put my blue blockers on at night and I'm still not sleeping." It's very important to get out in the morning and to get that initial light that we're supposed to see, around dawn, to get that light in to trigger the melatonin production, so that you have some there to release at night when you're hopefully you got blue blockers on or some little red lights on or candles or something like that. Our house is beautifully dark in the evenings. The only light we have is in our snake cages. We got 3 snake cages in the living room, vivariums, and they've just got little red LEDs that I turn right down for their sort of sunset, if you like. And that's the only light we have. And I've found it so much easier to sleep. And I also actually use one of the Bond Charge sleep masks, even at night. I haven't been doing this for a while, but for a long time. But Andy Mant sent me one, and I thought I'll try it out. And to get things absolutely pitch black, if you don't have proper blackout blinds, it can make a huge difference, I find. And particularly if you're trying to get a bit of extra sleep or a bit of kip in the day, if you need one, if you haven't slept so much at night, which is okay to do. But I think for me, it's about light. If you go onto my channel and have a look at a video I did a while ago, it's just called 10 Top Tips About Sleep. But I go into a lot of detail there, and then a link to a blog post where I think there's another like 23 ideas. I had so many issues when I was really autoimmune and in terrible pain of getting sleep sorted. And I remember the first day I put blue blockers on, and I had my first cold bath as well. And I was shivering, and I thought, I'm never going to sleep. And 11 hours later, I woke up in the same position. It was just the best sleep I've ever had. My body needed it so much. So, a bit of cold thermogenesis at night seemed to work for me as well. But there are a lot of tips in that one. I would say I'd go into the light. I don't really understand the connection between carnivore and not sleeping. So does anybody have any more ideas about what could be tweaked on the diet for that? Because it didn't make much difference for me. It was getting the light right that sorted me out.
Yeah, I'm not muted, just checking. I gave a spiel for about 20 seconds earlier, Phil, and I was muted, so it was wasted. I suffered with trouble sleeping initially when I gravitated. And for me, it was two main issues and some fantastic points there. And those are some points that I need to introduce and implement myself. I don't do enough grounding. I don't get enough morning light. And that's something. So we've all got levers to pull. I regard myself as being a strict carnivore, and we look into these other mechanisms, levers that we can pull when we gravitate into this lifestyle. And these are things that are levers for me to pull. But the biggest contributing factor to me was not eating close enough to bed. Now, I know this goes against what everybody else will tell you, but, try it. Try a small bolus of protein about an hour or two before bed. Even closer, if you want to, it could be just an egg, or it could be a piece of cheese or something. Because hypoglycemia can cause issues with lack of sleep. This is why some people report eating carb allows them to sleep. And this is where the confusion comes in, that they've taken out the carb and now they're not sleeping. It's not to do with the carb per se. It's to do with the elicitation of insulin, which we can achieve through the amino acids, alanine and leucine. The other is an electrolyte imbalance. When we gravitate into this lifestyle, we are removing lots of important minerals. And then we reintroduce things like sodium, because as we gravitate in, sodium is lost through the 4 points of the nephrons in the kidneys. So we replace the sodium. The sodium, Steve grinning there, because that's one of my famous lines. The sodium depletes potassium. So that puts the potassium out of whack. And then, we maybe even be supplementing with calcium, which depletes magnesium. So it's a whole issue with electrolyte balance. So you could try supplementing with some potassium and some magnesium. You can get that in one supplement, or you can do it separately. Potassium citrate is the one I'd recommend, because that will also help, as we discussed earlier, with monourate crystals and oxalate detox, as well as replacing the potassium. And magnesium glycinate is the one that I'd preference before bed. But it could be one of those. It could be hypoglycemia or an electrolyte imbalance. Implement those and try the advice that Phil has offered as well. And I'm sure that the things will begin to improve. It is common to require less sleep. Like, the amount of sleep that I get now is far less than I needed to get before. But the fact that you're suffering with fatigue, it could be a fact that you're not getting enough fat even. It could be something as simple as this. Fat is incredibly important. So maybe look at the fat ratio. Maybe the cuts of the meat that you're eating are too lean. You could try implementing lamb. Lamb, I think, is well underestimated. We're told grass-fed beef, and this comes from the States, isn't it? Because carnivore sort of is big in the States. Grass-fed beef is incredible, and I eat lots of it. But lamb isn't as readily available in the States, but it is in the UK. And lamb, in my opinion, is better for you in regards to B vitamins, and it's better in regards to omega-3s. There's around 10 times more omega-3s in lamb than we get in beef. And omega-3s can help with inflammation. So if it's an inflammatory problem, then it will offset those omega-6s and help block inflammation. Plus, it's fuel for the brain, DHA and EPA. So few items of pieces of food for thought there.
Absolutely brilliant.
One really quick thing that people forget, apart from also getting iris on the computers and getting that blue light out of your eyes and off your thyroid and whatever, don't think of sleep as a whole sort of 8 hours or whatever. Think of it as cycles of about an hour and a half, and then it stops you panicking. I generally sleep about 3 sleep cycles and then wake up, and that's like 4.5 hours, isn't it? So mine's a bit less, like 1 hour 20, my sleep cycles. So think of it as like trying to get 4 or 5 sleep cycles a night instead of one continuous lot, and then panic, oh my God, I can't get back to sleep. Just get up for a bit, chill out, put some shades on, have the screen on red, watch some crappy film or listen to a podcast or something. And And then when your eyes start to go again, go back to bed. And that's really quite ancestral, that biphasic sleep thing. I think it stops you worrying about going back to sleep. There we go.
Spot on.
Yeah, and for those, we did talk about sleep in the first hour. If people want to go and look at the playback, obviously after the 24-hour live stream is finished, because you should all be here for 24 hours watching. We did talk about sleep there quite considerably. And we're here for a further 21 hours, 40 minutes. So it'll probably come up again. For those in the chat that are repeating the comment, we've got lots and lots of comments. We're not ignoring you. And yes, the mental health study that's been shut down, that Ken Berry has sent a petition around, please don't keep posting about that, because we've got Dr. Ken Berry potentially coming on. We don't know when, because he's traveling and his PA's there. So we're trying to actually get the guests that we've got on to talk about their particular thing. And Phil is an expert in things like autoimmune and arthritis and all that sort of stuff. So we're making the most of having Phil on here. And as you can see, he's a thoroughly good chap as well. And sometimes he can have a very esoteric answer. So I'm going to put this very simple question on, see what he reckons. When you burn fat, where does it go?
It goes to energy, doesn't it? And then you can... I'm going to defer this one seriously to Richard, because he understands the biochemistry. You go for that. I'll just waffle on that one. Go for it.
Gee, thanks. Yeah. So it's, if we look at a cell within the body, fat is already in the cytosol of the cell. Glucose is different. Glucose needs to enter the cell through the GLUT4 transporter, but fat is already there. So it has less to go through in order to enter beta oxidation. So it'll become, it'll go through carnitine palmitoyl transferase 1 and 2. It'll become carnitine acyl, and then it'll enter beta oxidation when it comes out of the carnitine shuttle, and it'll become acetyl-CoA, to which we get energy, basically. So it enters beta oxidation and we produce energy. Now, interestingly, if we look at ketone production, acetyl-CoA would normally enter the citric acid cycle, and then this is how we create ATP. But acetyl-CoA will build up because oxaloacetate, and you did ask for the scientific answer, so oxaloacetate during the citric acid cycle is used for gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis is almost like glycolysis in reverse, bar 2 or 3 different factors. So it's very similar to the production of glucose in reverse. Pyruvate goes into oxaloacetate, and then so on and so forth, but it's reversed in order. But in order to do that, the oxaloacetate is used up, which means the acetyl-CoA builds up. So acetyl-CoA doubles, and then this enters HMG-CoA. So HMG-CoA is a pathway that is shared with cholesterol production, but HMG-CoA is how we create ketones. This will enter ketone production, and we will produce 3 different types of ketones: beta-hydroxybutyrate, acetoacetate, and acetone. Acetoacetate and acetone are literally just wasted. We breathe out. So this is where the fat goes. We breathe the fat out and we pee it out, or we use it, as Phil said, as energy, as heat, if you like. But when we upregulate, beta-hydroxybutyrate is the ketone body that's preferenced. So when we waste ketone bodies through the breath and the urine, they're not utilized for energy purposes, they're wasted. But another process that happens is an uncoupling process of a compound called uncoupling protein 1. This stimulates our white fat to act as brown fat does. And what this means is that the white fat, which stores, so white fat in the body wants to store energy, brown fat wants to waste or burn energy. Through this uncoupling process, it tells our stored white fat just to waste energy. So I'm ketogenic or carnivore, all of us are. We are literally sitting here breathing out fat, peeing out fat, not quite this second, obviously, because that would be disturbing. But but we're also just burning. We're wasting fat through heat. And that's even before we look at energy production. So we have the ability just to burn this body fat quite as literally as Phil just said. We waste it through those processes. But when we create beta hydroxybutyrate, which is created in the liver, so it leaves the liver through a transporter called the monocarboxylate transporter. It goes through a series of enzymes called BDH, Escott, and Escott, and then it will enter the target cell. So say the cell within the muscle, for example, in the arm. Then it will go back through another monocarboxylate transporter. It will go through those series of enzymes again, BDH, Escott, and Escott, and I believe it's in that order, where that will enter the citric acid cycle and be used for energy. So that's where fat goes. Does that answer the question?
And there was me thinking it went through a wormhole in the space-time continuum.
Spot on.
So yeah, you've got the breakdown of triglycerides.
I probably missed a few steps in there in the excitement, but yeah.
Yeah. I was just summarising for people there that might got lost. Breakdown of triglycerides enters the bloodstream, converts to acetyl-CoA, then it produces carbon dioxide, water, and you breathe it out or excrete it out. Basically, the word waste is also in there. We all have a waste pipe in the respect that we sweat, we generate heat, we urinate, we do other things. So, it doesn't just disappear. Think of body fat differently. Think of it as, stored food energy or stored nutrients, because it won't necessarily be burnt for energy. It could be used for something. So, for instance, when people come this way to eat and they've got a thyroid that's packed in, or then they're quite anxious, that fat will be utilized and liberated to make things as well. So lots there from that one very simple question. So you were going to say that though, weren't you, Phil? That was really what it was on the tip of your tongue.
Yeah, it was word for word. I was going to say that.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Right, here we go. Great answer, Rich, of course. Right, Tanya. Hi, guys. Can you please explain low cortisol on the carnivore diet? My cortisol is 286 now, while low range is 350. Says who, by the way? Sorry. Anyway, I feel fatigue. I don't fast, don't drink any coffee. I eat dairy and meat. Use magnesium. Thank you. Right. So the first thing is, yes, we got Phil here. I just want to say bloods and normal ranges, we need to rethink what people tell us the range should be. But anyway, go on, Phil, fire away on cortisol.
I think the main thing here is really what Stephen said, that, all these tests can get very confusing. And I would plug Stephen's book and say, go and find out what blood results should be like on carnivore, or why they're so misinterpreted otherwise. I think, you feel fatigue and you've got that level, so you're thinking it's to do with cortisol, and everybody keeps on going on about cortisol. My cortisol's trashed, this and that. To me, it's how you feel, and are you getting enough fat? How long have you been on it? Are you fat adapted? I would think more about that than explaining the low cortisol, because, as Stephen says, those levels, what is normal when you're on carnivore? I'm real simple on this. I just go by how I feel. And if I'm feeling fatigued, I'll look at, my sleep patterns. I'll look at if I'm getting enough fat. I'll look if I'm stressed at something that might be messing my sleep around. I don't really think about cortisol. I just don't, that's my answer. I just keep it real simple. How do you feel? What's going to fix that? I don't look at numbers at all. But there's nothing wrong with looking at them if you're interested and understand it. But, don't put it above how you feel. It's like people with thyroid issues. So often the thyroid can go crazy after going carnivore. Their doctors freak them out. Like, oh, you can't go carnivore, your thyroid's blowing up. And they'll come to me and they'll say, oh, I've got these awful results. So, well, how do you feel? I feel great. Well, there you go. Your thyroid's doing what it's supposed to do. And I think, levels of whatever do what they're supposed to do when you're on your ancestral diet. Ride it out and, look for other reasons. Am I being too simplistic on that? I just like to simplify.
No, simple is good. No, simple is good. We want straight answers, really. That's why you're here, because we'll have a nice little yin and yang. Did you want to add something, Rich, before we bring Ben in, or should we bring Ben in?
Yeah, bring Ben in. I can jump on this really quickly, but let's bring Ben in.
Yeah, because we want to see this wonderfully handsome, hunky guy come in. Ben Hunt.
Yay.
You.
Good morning.
How you doing, man?
All right. I've been enjoying the show so far. Been watching from the start pretty much. So, yeah, great stuff.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
I'm impressed.
Fantastic.
So Rich has just said, the infamous, I can give a quick answer on this. So fire away, mate.
No, look, just to echo what everyone else has said, the ranges don't really mean an awful lot. Feeling fatigued, what I would say, Tanya, is are you getting adequate electrolytes in regards to sodium and potassium? We need sodium and potassium to create energy. All minerals are important, but we seem to miss this when we live carnivore. We seem to restrict specific minerals unless we are eating nose to tail, eating the cartilage off chicken bones and the connective tissue of muscle meats, and creating and making bone broth. We can be devoid in these essential minerals. Just check those. Be sure that you are consuming adequate electrolytes. If not, it's okay to supplement. I take supplementation of electrolytes daily. As you guys know, that I produce them and manufacture them. And this isn't a sales pitch, by the way, but I do this because many of us don't eat the way that we did ancestrally. We don't bash the bones and eat the cartilage from the bone, and we don't store our meat on rocks and drink spring water. It's the diet we live today is far different to what it was previously. But electrolytes, that's the short answer.
Thank you very much. So, Phil, we'll bid you farewell.
Yes. Yeah, I just stayed around to say hello to Ben, and we've been chatting a bit this morning anyway, so I know he's coming on, so I shall hang around on the YouTube and watch this. So, yes, thank you so much for having me on, guys, and just brilliant. I don't know how you do it. I'm glad I got on early on when you're still quite fresh.